Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar on the EU Pay Transparency Directive and how Gaudi can help you get ready. Delighted to be joined by three of my colleagues this morning. This is truly a global event. My name is John Clifford, based in Dublin, being responsible for organising and facilitating this morning's session. Delighted to be joined, as I said, by three of my colleagues. Jakob Sørensen, who sits in our Danish office, Anna Thornblin, who heads up our Swedish market unit, and Tien, who also sits in our Danish office. Just before we get things underway, going to do a little bit of housekeeping, just to give everyone a little bit of visibility on what will take place this morning. So just to let you know, this morning's session will be recorded. We're more than happy to share the recording with all of those of you who attended. And typically for those of you who've attended these sessions before, you'll be aware of the fact that we try to make them as engaging and as interactive as possible. You'll notice on the top of your screen, there's some chat functionality, and next to that, on the right, there's a Q&A functionality. We will have a Q&A session at the end of this morning's session with my colleagues, but please be mindful, if you do have any questions, feel free to submit them. We will endeavour to get around to answering as many of those as we possibly can. And on that note, let's get things underway. Morning, Jakob.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time today. So I'll start off with a short introduction to Gaudi as an organization and also PXMsoft, which is a part of Gaudi. So hopefully most of you do know Gaudi already. We've been around for the last 25 years doing HR in SAP for the last 25 years. We are around 175 consultants around the world, with our main base in the Nordics and in EMEA, but also in Dubai and other places. 15 different offices, and our aim is to be the number one in the cloud offerings from SAP. So that's a few words on Gaudi, and Anna will be also touching a bit later on related to our advisory and what we do when it comes to that. When we look at PXMsoft, some of you might know it already, but I'll just have to take the chance to give a short introduction to PXMsoft as well as an organization. So within Gaudi, we do have different entities. PXMsoft is an entity that focuses solely on application extensions to SuccessFactors. So we have a suite of offerings. Today we'll be looking at our org chart modeling and equal pay as an offering fueling the pay transparency or the support of the pay transparency directive from coming in from EU. But we also have a frontline and candidate recruiting component that basically improves and fuels the frontline recruiting for managers, and also creates a completely different candidate experience for candidates when they apply. Document management solution is a fully fledged document management solution, from creating the first draft of a document based on SuccessFactors data through approval, through signature, and onto signing. So a really, really comprehensive document management solution, all working within SuccessFactors and with the data from SuccessFactors. Time Tracking Plus is a shift scheduling workforce planning tool that works seamlessly with the time offerings in SuccessFactors, so time off, time tracking, but allowing organizations to do shift scheduling, demand planning, all embedded within SuccessFactors as such. So it's a quite comprehensive tool when it comes to these shift scheduling scenarios. Certify and Comply is our skills-based engine, which conceptually allows organizations with a production focus, or more operational focus, to run audits, to run skills handling for across your organization with millions of skills being monitored, being managed within the application. Org chart modeling, which we'll be looking at today, is a customizable org chart view and a modeling component that allows organizations within SuccessFactors to remodel their organization for the future. And as a sidecar to our modeling tool is our equal pay component, which is, I think, one of the unique offerings that we will be looking at today, which is the ability to start model scenarios where you even out and mitigate some of the imbalances on your pay and pay distribution in the organization. The last component or the last application that we have in our portfolio is an application we call Collect and Connect. It is essentially a survey tool with the ability to also collect data from external sources. So imagine sending out a survey to a candidate or employees asking for specific data. That data will then be answered in that survey and will then be written directly back in to the database of SuccessFactors. So it's a tool that allows you to drive really comprehensive data management across SuccessFactors. So these are the tools that we're working with in our portfolio, which goes hand in hand, obviously, with Gaudy's SuccessFactors offering, and which works natively with SuccessFactors on the cloud and the SAP BTP or business technology platform, meaning that we are directly linked into SuccessFactors, working in real time, working with role-based permissions, and all the bells and whistles within SuccessFactors. So that is just setting the context of who we are, and then we want to jump into the reason why we are here today, all of us. And I'll hand over to my good colleague, Tein.
Thank you, Jacob. I will just put a few words around the EU directive, and then also back after that, hand it back to Jacob and Anna for a more comprehensive walkthrough of our solution. If you start with the background, as many as you know, this was passed through the EU Parliament in the summer of 23, and the directive is now valid, meaning that, as stated in the directive, the national countries within the EU, they will have to pass national legislation by summer 26. That also means that by summer 26, there will be an effective national legislation in each EU country. A year after, in the summer of 27, then all companies with more than 250 employees shall also publish the first report regarding potential gaps within the pay area and pay transparency. So it is something that is coming and going to hit you as an employer. And sometimes it's also better to see this as an opportunity and not only as a compliance exercise. If you look into the directive, what we know now, it's just a little bit too early, Jacob, so please move back. Then, of course, we're talking carrot and sticks. The usual tool in the toolshed is fines, meaning that if you are not compliant with the EU directive, and right now the EU directive states that the adjusted pay gap is allowed to be 5% or under, and if it's more, there has different means to reduce it and different tools in order to minimize the gap. So fine is the usual tool that legislation is using. And where there is a difference here compared to other places is that one of the fines that an employer can be brought upon is that they are ordered to back pay employees for a longer period. So not just a fine here and now for being incompliant, but also fined in order to give justice pay to employees paying back in time. Reputation is sometimes also a fluffy thing that we're talking about, but just bear this sentence in mind. Do you wish to be the employer where people are saying we are not paying people equal pay for equal work? So I think that reputation is sometimes, a little bit of a fluffy part, but stating that also means that, of course, we should pay equal pay for equal work. So that's fine. Around attracting and keeping talent, a major difference is also that the burden of proof is shifting. So the employer has to prove that they're not treating people in an unequal way. So it's the employer who has the burden of proof if an employee raises a legal dispute. Around the CSR reporting, yes, this is just another element you can add to that. And also, if you do this right, then you will gain a competitive edge compared to some of your competitors. Yes, the next slide, Jacob, please. I urge you to see this as an opportunity because, you can improve your employee trust, you can improve your employee engagement, meaning that I think that maybe we have all been in companies where, the newest hire gets the highest pay regardless of the past history in company, which is non-existing. So the idea of always being transparent around the pay ranges for a given job and a pay grade, I think that's really compelling for most employees. The part about attracting people is also real. We know there's a struggle out there and talent for war for talent, sorry. And that also means that if you are not one of the few companies who are paying the top dollar in your industry, you can then prove that by putting out a plan for progression in the job, where you will start, but also where you will progress, because you then will have data points to validate that. So that's also an opportunity for companies to prove that it's not just empty talk, that you will also progress if you're doing your job correctly. Around efficiency, yeah, but if people are motivated, if people trust their employee, they will also do a better job. And that also means that along the way, you will also experience a better work environment and hopefully also much more happy and satisfied employees. So, Jacob?
Thank you, Tein, and thanks for setting the scene. So what I'll do now is I'll pivot into what we are going to look at for the next 45 minutes or so. So we have taken, in our own view, at least a sort of unique take on how we will support customers with mitigating and handling this pay directive coming. So we've created a packaged approach. I think that's the first unique offering. We've actually tried to put this into building blocks as a packaged approach. The packaged approach consists of 3 distinct elements. We have an element related to the advisory and expertise or expert experience, which Anna will cover in a second. That is essentially making sure that you transform and get into a control within your current structures. We call this first part unlock. So that's unlocking and getting into control with the first with your structures and the data that you have in SuccessFactors. The second part, if my mouse were to comply, it's not. The second part is our reporting, which is basically the heart of what you're about to do once the legislation comes into effect. That is the comprehensive reporting that you are mandated to provide. So we've built a report, and we'll show you the report framework today. This is obviously an element that will grow the coming months as we get more and more wise in terms of how this legislation is going to look on a local level. But it is the reporting, and at the end of the day, it's the compliance reporting that you need to do. So we'll show you that. That's part of the overall packaging offer. And then we have the last component in our offering, which is the modeling solution. And I think that's where we at least put something very unique into the market. And that is the ability to actually start mitigating and working with the scenarios that you then identify through the reporting. The reporting then hinges on the fact that you've gotten into control with the structures. And based on that, I'll hand over to Anna, who will take us through the advisory, the first part of our offering. So over to you, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. So I think most of you know what the EU Pay Transparency Directive is about and what's needed to be compliant, at least at a general level, since there still are some uncertainties for some parts. I will be going through the first element of the package and what you can do in your SuccessFactors environment. In short, it's about getting the structures and definitions in place in Employee Central and then deploy this in your SuccessFactors solution. So it could also be adding into recruitment process, etc. And the solution advisory part consists of different parts. But first, we start with a workshop where you share your needs, structures, what you're working with today, the expectations you have. And then we go into the design workshop where we are defining or reshaping the structures, either defining from scratch or reshape outdated structures and align them with pay transparency practices, depending on where you are. We are setting up a job architecture, including job and pay structures, adding important elements or building blocks like job families, subfamilies, etc. Building blocks or elements that are relevant for you. You might be using Mercer, Korn Ferry today. So it's about gathering that information and connecting that to your roles and inherit that to the positions. So leveraging inheritance and reusability, actually. So this is also ensuring that you have quality in the job architecture. We also, of course, review individual pay components and those parts. And I would say that the job architecture has the foundation in SuccessFactors, and a job architecture is a structured system that defines roles, even responsibilities, if you like, grading, job grading, and pay ranges within the organization. But also have in mind that this also builds for the future, really using the potential of SuccessFactors. Yes, it is the foundation for being compliant with the EU Pay Transparency Directive, but it could also be much more. Each role or job classification in SuccessFactors is clearly defined, pay is fair, and even more, adding skills to this, you also have the foundation for building a skills-based organization, using the great features of SuccessFactors Talent Intelligence Hub, for example, having career paths that are transparent and etc. Going back to what we do here, when we have set the design and scope, we do the transform part. We deliver a finalized solution built on the agreed and signed off documents or outcomes of the design phase. And then we deploy the solution. And we have the important HR data quality assured and in place, and you will be able to work strategically with this HR data. Another important aspect of this that I would like to bring up is that when you have the job architecture with pay grading, and this becomes transparent for managers, employees, recruiting candidates, this is not only something great for HR, it also empowers managers with great information, insights, and understanding the whole process from business goals, evaluating performance, pay for performance, and it's easier to understand and commit to as a manager because there's a common thread through the HR processes, and I think this makes it easier to communicate to the organization. And of course, there's work to do to training managers, and it's about training in compensation policies, pay ranges, but also how to meet employees with the right expectations. But that you have the processes and you have the tools in SuccessFactors. So this is the framework that supports this. We have been doing advisory and implementation for this for the last 2-3 years for both local and global companies. And with having the foundation in place with the global roles or job classifications and grading, job grading, pay ranges. We also have the total solution and strategy in mind, where you want to go, where you want to grow in the future. Might be that you would like to go into career and talent development. So not limiting to job and pay structures. That is, of course, the important part, setting the foundation here, but also having this in mind, having the whole picture of what the job architecture landscape can be in your company, what you can grow into is important. So I urge you to take this opportunity. This is a possibility, like Tane said, building a fair work environment. And the good news is that this is also an excellent foundation for building a skills-based organization as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And as Anna said, and then maybe just looping back to the idea of the packaged approach. So what we have is, obviously, as Anna just showed, we have the expertise, but we also have this framework sitting underneath with workbooks and guides and so on to go in and address these elements within your SuccessFactors setup. Okay, so the second part of the equation, and maybe the heart of everything, is our pay transparency reports. Essentially, that is where we combine the data, or show the data that has been cleaned up and structured through the first part of the phase, and that is the element that I'll zoom into now. I'm hoping that I might still have a SuccessFactors environment that's alive and kicking. I don't, so let's just restart this guy and see if we can get it up and running. Yeah. So what we've basically done is we've created a report based on or report framework based on Power BI, and we've done that with fairly open eyes because Power BI gives us quite a lot of both flexibility but also agility in terms of meeting different customer requests. So we obviously also have reports in SAC, the SAP offering. What we've found with the standard native story reporting in SuccessFactors is that there are some critical shortcomings when designing these reports that doesn't allow us to provide the full legislation or requirements or basically fitting the full requirements from the legislation. So even though that obviously we can use standard stories within SuccessFactors, it'll get us some of the way, but it wouldn't get us all the way. So for that reason, we've used Power BI. A second reason is that we do have many customers where data sources is not purely SuccessFactors. It's also data from somewhere else that needs to be enriched and embedded into the report. And that's also the benefit of using Power BI. And I think the third benefit is that this is something that is natively or typically already present in most organizations. So that's just a bit of background to what I'll be showing you now. So just trying to put this into context, we will obviously have embedded our report within SuccessFactors, and then within SuccessFactors, this reporting framework is part of the offering. So what we've done up until now is we've developed a reporting framework that zooms in on the critical requirements of the legislation. This is not necessarily the final product. We don't still know all the local legislation. So this is a product with a roadmap, and we'll continue to develop the product as the weeks, the months, and years pass by, ensuring that you as customers are at any given point able to meet the requirements. As you might notice, and we in this demo system at least have quite a lot of work to do, because we're definitely not on par with the 5% that Tine spoke about earlier. But this is demo data, and you'll see that also later on that it's a bit all over the place. So we are able to measure on male and female, but that's about it within this data. But what the report does is it provides us insights into the countries for where you have data within SuccessFactors. So using SuccessFactors data, this map will populate based on the locations of where you're present. And then based on the data structures that Anna touched upon before, the reportable measurements will start populating. So that'll give you a really quick insight into the overall situation within a given country. And then by drilling down on the specific country, you will then get a much more comprehensive report, which is end of the day what you need to report on, that provides you the insights into that specific country. So that's the pay gap. It's the breakdown of the pay gaps. I'm not an expert on this. We have a team working on the analytics part, but we have the different bits and pieces which are the essential building blocks of the report that is going to be sent to the government. Pay gap progression, the gender distribution, and so on and so on. And as said, this is our baseline, and this is from this baseline that will continue to grow our offering. The pay quartiles, as they sit here, is one of the main things that we are currently lacking in the storage reporting. It's a critical element within the legislation, but it can't be met within the story reporting, and that's one of the reasons, as mentioned earlier, that we've chosen Power BI. But essentially, this will provide you with legislation for the countries that you have in scope, as said, and provide you the needed insights into these countries throughout. So that's and obviously, as said, as we see local legislation starting to get more and more settled, we will then also be implementing these more localized versions of the requirements. So that's the reporting bit. And this reporting bit, just to re-emphasize that, is a fairly open framework. Essentially, we provide you with a report and a roadmap and the promise to continue to develop this, but it also provides you the ability to start working on metrics within this report, and then also providing you the ability to supplement with sources from external sources. As mentioned, the report can obviously be embedded in many different ways in SuccessFactors. So we now, just for the demo purpose, have embedded it within the quick actions, and that also allow you to start working with role-based permissions and so on top of the report, making sure that only the right people can access the report. That is essentially the heart of, or the core of this is the ability to report on data from SuccessFactors. The lacking element in most offering is the ability then to mitigate these shortcomings, and that is what I'll touch upon in the next section. So that is the modeling part, where we'll take a slightly deeper dive in to some of the functionality. It won't be a full walkthrough of modeling. It'll obviously be tied to our equal pay scenarios, but I'll also touch upon some of the flexibility within the solution that allows you to mitigate potential unbalances within your pay transparency in the organization. So I'll just jump back to become myself, and then we'll jump into the org modeling. So our offering, the packaged offering, is essentially what you'll get is, as stated earlier, the advisory, the report with a roadmap, and then you'll get the modeling solution with an extension on top that addresses the equal pay. So this is a, let's say, a 2-for-1 scenario that we're looking at now. It's both the ability to model and work with that component, but it's also the equal pay component. So just a short fly into our modeling tool. Our modeling tool essentially caters for different things within SuccessFactors. It caters for a fully customizable org chart that is giving you tailored insights into your organization based on your data points in SuccessFactors and based on the scenarios that you want to show. So contrasting this with the standard org chart in SuccessFactors, that is fairly static, and the ability to do much in there is quite limited. In here, you can create any views that you think is relevant for the organization. It can be showing you the sales views, or the sales organization. It can be showing you your UK business only, or your contingent worker organization, or whatever. So that's showing you the organization as it is. We're not going down this path today. Then we have our org modeling. That is the ability to model different scenarios, obviously working, as I said earlier, in real time, connected to SuccessFactors, but in a sandbox kind of scenario where you play around with certain scenarios, and at some point you get that into SuccessFactors. And then we have the admin part where you can configure the solution in general. So what we will be zooming in on is the modeling part. Modeling essentially supports three scenarios currently. We have employee modeling, that is employees referring to employees. We have our position modeling, and we have our department modeling. We do have on the roadmap a job structure modeling to support the equal pay offering. Again, like the report framework in Power BI, obviously there is a roadmap and there are development going into this product. Where I want to start is I want to start with our position modeling and then run you through a very, let's say, simplistic scenario focusing on equal pay. So what I'll be presented with, and I just want to undo all of this and then start from a clean sheet. So what I'll be presented with is a blank canvas, and what I want to do now is I want to, from an equal pay perspective, start zooming in on certain scenarios. So what I'll do is I'll take the CEO of the organization, but I could start anywhere else, and then start expanding the organization from her perspective. What you can see is obviously we have data that is tied into this card, as we call it. This data is something that you configure fully to your own liking. So whatever data that you deem relevant in a card for you to navigate and work in a model scenario, you put that in dynamically as you work with the data. But what I want to do is I want to start drilling a bit into the organization of our CEO. So expanding one level below, we'll see that there's a person sitting beneath her. If we can see that beneath this position, we have two other positions. Drilling down here, we'll start seeing that we have now 4 positions that's in our chart. These 4 positions are supported when it comes to equal pay and the equal pay agenda with different metrics. These metrics are completely configurable by you. So you can create any views, and the view that we have here is the representation of the data that we have behind. So that's the gender distribution, pay grade distribution, area distribution, and job levels. But it could, as said, be anything else. What we also have to support this is our equal pay metrics, and that is the addition to the standard offering. And the equal pay metrics is supplementing the view that we saw in our Power BI. So essentially, what we have here is a scenario where these 4 positions are located within UK. We have a really awful pay gap, and that's not too well. We have a distribution: 1 male, 3 females, and then as we only have a UK, that is basically the numbers that we're looking at. As we start diving further into the organization, what you'll see is that the numbers within our metrics start shifting. So we start seeing that by expanding this scenario, this works dynamically with that scenario. What we also see with this is that we actually have a scenario here where we have two people on the same job level, both being supporters. Essentially, there's no real argument for these being on different pay grades. So you can do a lot of different scenarios. One scenario is that you simply change the pay grade for one of the employees and saying, well, this is actually not, it's still a sub, but the pay grade is a pay grade 05. And in order for this to make sense, once into SuccessFactors, this needs to be a promotion. These tags, as we have them here, and for those of you working SuccessFactors, these are the actual event and event reasons in SuccessFactors. So if this is a promotion, then we apply that logic to our card, and then we'll see that now this is a pay grade 5 and not a pay grade 7. We've actually evened out an equality within this scenario. Obviously, what you could also do, if that was the case, let's undo the last change. What we could also do was to say, well, this actually needs to, in order for us to even out the situation that we have in this specific scenario, we want to move this position out of this setup. So by doing this, let's say that we want to move a position into a different context, we'll have a different position sitting here, and we could simply detach this one and move it into a different organization, and thereby also mitigating a scenario within this context. And again, this obviously, as said, quite simplistic. There's much more effort and thoughts going into this. I'm completely aware, but hopefully it gives you an idea of how you can start mitigating and working with scenarios pertaining to equal pay, but obviously also on a much larger scale than just this. And still, you'll see the metrics updating as we move along. Let's undo some of these last actions and then start getting this person back into our chart. Let's kick this one out of our current view. What I also would like to do is actually to start or expand one level further. We will then see that our metrics and our pay metrics is still a bit all over the place. But what we'll also notice is that we have created what we call tags to our cards. So here we have non-valuated pay grade. So we have pay grades that sits because we've created a rule that sort of scans and see, do we have pay grades that are not on the same classification as the rest. So either you can obviously go in and change this pay grade to a pay grade that supports it. You can also have scenarios where say we simply don't want to work with these because these are not relevant for the scenarios that we're working on. And these tags are, just to re-emphasize this, fully configurable based on your master data. So you can have this saying whatever you wanted to say. So level one professional is just something that I made up. This is something where you can start tagging service personnel, sales personnel, whatever. But you can also have scenarios where say we simply don't want to work with the none. In this scenario, I created a filter to be able to remove this. But what we also see is that we have a scenario where we have a lot of vacant positions. So what we want to do is for one of these positions, we actually want to start having mitigating the pay transparency by moving, in this case, a female into a position. By doing so, you will then see a few things. First of all, you'll see that our pay metrics, and again, this is due to our master data, is now, I don't know if it was better or worse than it was before, but it's still at least not solved the problem. But what you'll also see is that now you have two countries represented on the map, That is because this lady is actually located in Denmark, and this one currently follows her. But it also provides us the ability to start looking into the actual statistics of the countries. And as you can see, as we start expanding our chart and our the view that we have, your dynamic and dynamic metrics will grow as you move along. End of the day, once you've done the needed changes and so on, then you can move this data into SuccessFactors. I'll show you that in a second. But what you can also consider doing in a sort of a mitigating scenario is you can start creating completely new structures and see how does all of this then add together, and then obviously start moving positions around so you have a more a different scenario when it comes to mitigating some of these scenarios. And again, knowing this is slightly simplistic, but it gives you hopefully an idea of how these elements can be modeled. And it is SuccessFactors data. So what we're working on is your actual structures, and what we are then modeling is a potential future structure, whatever that scenario might apply in your organization. And then we start putting in people into this position, modeling around that. And at some point, we might actually want to say, this is the chart as it looks. This is what we want to commit to SuccessFactors. All along, while we are working, our different changes are being picked up. So if I change data, and all of what you're seeing here is also customizable. So the fact that I can manage position details or whatever is something that you can customize. But all the changes are picked up in this data log, giving you the ability to start creating this backlog of changes that is being created. At a given point, you'll export this into Excel. The Excel sheet is shared and aligned with your SuccessFactors to the extent possible. And for those of you working in SuccessFactors, you know these import files is quite a hefty undertaking. So what we do is we align our Excel file with the reality that you might have, and then you'll see old data, you'll see new data, and this basically allows HR Ops to start working on the data that's been modeled by senior management or whoever doing these reviews. So you'll see that you have new employments. So we had a new lady coming in. We have created some new cards. We have moved cards around. You can see the old value, you can see new values, and so on. So this is where we are right now in terms of committing data to SuccessFactors. Yeah. Obviously, these changes can also be done on an employee level. So if we have employees where we want to or need to create the same changes or not the same changes, but changes not on a position, but on an employee level, first of all, again, you have your SuccessFactors data. You have the same logic. So you control which data goes into these cards, but you also have the metrics and the ability to work with those in your employee view. So here we have a scenario where you have more employees across different entities, and then you have the same. Again, our data is a bit all over the place, but you have the same ability to look into the pay equality across employees, and the department draft is department drafting, the same logic connected to that. What I want to just quickly touch upon, because I think it plays quite a significant role in the operationalization of your pay transparency, and that's the admin part of it. So with this tool, you get flexibility in terms of creating different metrics, different insights, different data views to your organization. So obviously our view is based on a demo set, but you control which data goes into cards, the different views. This is where you define a Swedish view, a Danish view, or whatever, or a valuated pay grade view or the different views. The cards is where you decide which data actually flows into a given card, and you're not limited to any data. As long as it's in SuccessFactors and we can derive it from, in this case, for instance, the position, then you can work with it, and then you can add it to the entity. Once you add it to the entity, then your end user within the org chart can start working with it. But what I wanted to touch upon was the filtering. That is where you get the ability to start having these different filters applying to different scenarios. So if you want to remove users without a name, if you want to hide vacant positions, whatever the scenario might be, giving you the flexibility to start these modeling scenarios. And in our modeling scenario, as mentioned, we control which data you allow the end users to model. So creating a department, editing a department, creating positions, and so on is what you start defining with when you create these operational elements that allows you to work with the data. The metrics is exactly where you start creating these views or these different metrics that we saw popping up. So you define essentially what you want your end users to have insights into when they do the operations within the modeling part. Again, all based on SuccessFactors data. So you're not limited to any data within the system. If you want to have a metrics related to positioning and you want it to be location views or something like that, let's call it that, and maybe and then we say that this is based on an location from the an entity from the position, and we want it to be the location. By doing so, then you'll have I just needed to make this a global view like this. Then what you'll have now is actually a location view. I don't know if any data will show up, but what you will have in your position draft now is a location metric. Well, you don't, but anyways, the idea is that then you'll have the location metric. I don't know where I got it planned, but you'll create any metrics within the views that you base on data from SuccessFactors. What we've also done is we've provided access to different reports and different frameworks. So the same report that we were looking at before can also be accessed from the modeling part, giving end users access to see the current situation, and then based on that, start working with that. But obviously, it also provides. You can provide any guidelines. You can also provide access to different reports from SuccessFactors. The last thing before I hand over to a Q&A and a wrap up is that obviously these drafts, and you create new drafts, you can create as many as you want to for different scenarios, different cases, and so on. So there's no limitation. This is just a playground where you explore a given scenario. But what you can do is you can also put these drafts into an approval flow. So if you want this draft to be approved, then you'll do like this. The end user or the user that you decide for approval will then be notified that there is a draft to be approved. And once approved, you'll see here, and then you can commit that data to SuccessFactors. Yeah, I think that was a bit of speed talk from my side, but I think that's hopefully gave you an idea of, let's say, the ability to start model different scenarios based on certain circumstances. In this case, pay transparency, but obviously it could also be org changes or something larger than that. But this last modeling solution is part of the offering where we say, okay, you get the ability to restructure, to define or restructure and clean up your data. You get the insights of your current as is, and you get the ability to model for the future. Yeah, I think that wraps up my part, and then maybe John, over to you.
Great, thank you, Jacob. Very insightful. I think between everyone. You've managed to cover a huge amount this morning. There's quite a few questions, actually. I'm just going to get straight into them, just conscious of the time. And if there's any other ones, please feel free also to submit them. We'll get around to answering as many as we can. This is a good question. This is from Karen. And Karen is just going on again. I was going back to reporting, James or Jakob. Can Power BI report work with other sources rather than SuccessFactors?
Yes. So that is one of the strengths of Power BI, that we can actually have external sources feeding into that overall report. So if you don't have all your master data related to the pay transparency, these sources can then be brought into the Power BI report.
Right. Another question on this one is from Karen. Thanks for the question, Karen. How can customizable employee and position cards be configured to reflect pay equity metrics?
Basically, those are configured within the application. So these, depending on the needs and depending on the setup that you have, you define the cards as to your liking. So you can have as many cards as you want. The card shows a given view of a given, in a given context. So in this card, I have different data. Some of it is already shown upon me loading the card, and some of the data can then be switched on. And this is essentially how you define a card, and whatever you deem relevant for your pay metrics reporting obviously will come with the best practices, will know what the requirements are, and then you add on your pay ranges. If you maintain pay ranges on positions, if you maintain elements on a department that might be relevant, then you add these fields on, and it's essentially just going in and saying, from our position, we want position criticality. That's a field that is relevant for us to use when we start modeling. Is this a key position? If yes, then we switch it on, and then once you then when you then start working in your modeling tool, you'll see that key positions is now part of, and here there's one card to one view, but you can have many views. But now key positions it has been applied to our card. In this case, it's really crappy data or random data. But anyways, that's the idea. And for the remaining fields configured, you have the ability, as stated earlier, to make sure that you provide the needed insights to the organization so they can see exactly the data that's relevant for them to do and to use in a given modeling scenario. That was a long answer to a short question.
Yeah, very comprehensive answer. Thank you. Another question, good question. Thank you, Mette. Mette is just wondering, does the modeling solution support RBP?
Yes. So this is based on, as stated earlier, this is based on built on SAP BTP, the business technology platform, which essentially allows us to sort of be ingrained within SuccessFactors. And that also means that your role-based permissions will apply here. So if you're not allowed to see certain positions, certain departments or whatever, then you can't model with that. Maybe one thing that I want to highlight, I didn't really highlight that before, we actually also support these merger and acquisition scenarios or import scenarios. So instead of you having to import tons of data via 15 different files from outside, if you have external data going in, you can simply import it into this tool. And if you then start to model around the data, here we have a good number of imported positions. The idea is exactly the same. You've bought a company, you've done something where you have data coming in from an outside source. Then you start providing that data into the view. The data, as you might see here, then aligns with your structure, and then that allows your HR ops to move this data into to SuccessFactors. And the same goes with your employees. Again, you have a number of employees here that is sitting on positions from an outside perspective. You can move those in as well. So yes, it does. And obviously this tool does a lot more than we've just scratched the surface with this pay equality thing today.
Great. I'll just take one last question, just mindful of the time. Thanks for the question, Bill. Just in regards to success factors data, Jakob, in what ways can that be integrated to enhance transparency and accuracy into pay equity analysis?
I think maybe also a bit back to Anna's point. Obviously, it all starts with your data being in control. So it is a matter of making sure, and I think Anna touched upon it. The job structures are quite essential. So obviously, you need your job structures, you need your pay structures to be aligned to start making any meaningful reporting based on this, and then integrate it into to both the report, but also the modeling component as well.
Right. And on that note, I think we're going to conclude for this morning. I think we've covered a huge amount. From my side, a massive thanks to Anna, Tien, and Jakob. It's been very, very insightful and very, very comprehensive. I might just hand it back to Jakob just for maybe a final couple of words. On that note, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. No, but thanks and thank you so much for taking the time out today to be with us. So I think I just want to say that we've obviously, this is an agenda that is shifting and moving over time. So we will be updating our homepages, PXMsoft, Gaudi.com. On PXMsoft, there'll also be pricing for the offering, so you can actually go in and see what's the price of the offering that we're having today. We will very shortly be providing a quite comprehensive guide in terms of how you should work with and understand this pay directive. That'll be posted on our homepages, but it will be best practices, recommendations, and so on, trying to be a bit more to the point than just saying, guys, you need to do something, but actually trying to wrap our heads around a bit of what do we then see you doing in the context of success factors, but also a bit more broadly in the context of HR. So on that note, thank you so much for taking the time. Do reach out to John, me, Otilia, Tien, Anna, or any other Gaudi colleague that you might know, for us to engage and do a deeper insights into the tools available.
Thanks, Jakob. And again, just thank you to everyone for taking the time out this morning. I think this is a topic you can expect to hear a lot more about going forward. So yeah, look forward to seeing everyone on the next session. And on that note, wishing everyone a great day. And for those of you who are going on holidays, have a great summer.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.